This is Mommying While Muslim, recorded live and unedited. Watch as Zeba and Uzma record their podcast, see their reactions, and find out for yourself what all the buzz is about.
Back again to sponsor our podcast is Muslim Kids TV with the 25% discount using code MK2021. Have your kids play both secular and Islamic games and catch Islamic videos you won't find anywhere else. These games are coded primarily by Muslim moms, so you're never going to hate your kids having electronics again.
Another one of our sponsors this month is Guidance Residential. Check out their spring refinance special and save $500 by going to gr.link/RAM_MWM_2021.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mommyingwhilemuslim podcast. This is Uzma Jaffrey.
And this is Zeba Hassan. Uzma, are you wearing orange in particular for today?
It wasn't only because it sort of matched my dress. There's some orange in here. So
I thought today was like wear orange day for like
It
gun.
is.
Yeah, so I was like, she's being so strategic, and I don't think I own anything orange. So I was like, good for Uzma.
We got to get you some orange in your wardrobe, girl. But yes, for National Gun Safety Awareness. I don't know if it's national, actually. It's like Mom's Really Mad. I remember MAD,
Yes.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Well, there's moms that are against gun violence. And so our sisters over at Mom Network asked for everybody to wear orange this Friday to commemorate children that have been gunned down, anybody who's been gunned down unnecessarily from our epidemic gun violence in this country.
So I love that you actually took the memo. I could not find anything that wasn't a Halloween costume. So I definitely am for the cause, and thank you so much. But Uzma, like, how was your week this week? I know it's been crazy busy always for you.
Crazy busy, but strategizing giving circles. Our event is coming up, the one that you so beautifully have curated and are promising early registrants. Another nice gift for those of you who attended the St. Jude event. You know, Zeba does not mess around with sending you a gift box to plan and prepare and participate in the actual event. So June 13th, guys, not very far away, is our virtual Tea Talk. So if you register, I believe it's by June 6th, you can expect to get a little gift in the mail that we can all share together at that particular Tea Talk. It's really important to come, and there's a good cause associated with it. It's not St. Jude this time. It is the American Muslim Women's Giving Circle. So we encourage everybody to attend. Click on our events on Facebook, or if you're on Instagram, you can go to the link in our bio and you can register there.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so great that we're at a stage where we can kind of use this platform to kind of help others, which was always what we wanted to do from the very beginning. Like when we would start talking about it, we were like, you know, at some point we want to use this and help other people. So the fact that we get to do that is a blessing every single day. So yeah, the tea, I'm super excited about it because we are going to be talking how it's going to be structured, how it's going to work, how it's sustainable giving. So, you know, I have a lot of people that are like, oh, we got the invitation, but we're so curious about what this is about. Guess what, everybody? You're going to find out. We're not going to hold it over your head anymore. So come, make sure you register. And hopefully, inshallah, we will see you then. But I know we have a very fun, kind of not as dramatic of a soapbox for today. So I'm really excited about this one. Uzma, what is our soapbox for today?
So we talked last week about traveling to DC, and I got to tell you, going there obviously was really important and really special, but I was scared out of my mind. I have had 2 negative COVID tests since then, and I'm fully vaccinated, but know that there is a percentage of fully vaccinated people who are getting infected. So that's why I decided on the soapbox for today, we're going to talk about the CDC guidelines for domestic travel right now. So when you've been fully vaccinated, according to the CDC, you can resume prior activities, but you must continue to wear a mask where it's mandated to wear a mask. So don't go into shops that say mask required and don't wear a mask unless you're planning on bringing a copy of your vaccination card. That's just bad manners. But 2 weeks after your final dose, you are considered immunized and you can travel, but it is a federal mandate to wear your masks in all airports in the United States and on most commercial flights. Do not be one of those 300 people who have been filmed taking their masks off and not listening to flight attendants or punching out flight attendants who say, put your mask back on. They were really, really particular on the airline that I was on. Even if you remove your mask a little bit to take a sip, they were like, between sips, you better be covering up your face. And you can bet they were telling everybody, including anybody over the age of 1, to put their masks on. That was a little bit interesting. There was a mom that was stopped on the gangway. I don't know if you call it a gangway, getting on a plane. My sister and I had this discussion. We were like, gangplank is for boats. We don't know what it is for the plane. But they pulled a toddler and her mom aside because the little girl was not having it. She was not putting the mask on. And they said, we're not going to let you board. So the mom is over there, I'll give you candy, I'll give you anything. And I was so sad because I really wished I had candy to give her. I'm going to go back and tell you what the recommendations are. If you're not vaccinated, before you travel, get the viral test 1 to 3 days before your trip. Wear a mask as required at the airport and on the plane. Avoid crowds and stay 6 feet away from everybody. So social distancing for you unvaccinated folks is still really, really important. I will tell you that if you travel on any busy holidays, I traveled on a long weekend. It was crazy packed and there was no way to be 6 feet away from anybody. And once you're on the plane, there is absolutely no way to be 6 feet away from anybody because they are packing us like sardines on those flights. After you travel, this is important. Get tested with the viral test 3 to 5 days after because it's going to take about that long for you to incubate with the coronavirus if you've got it. If you test negative, stay home and self-quarantine for a full 7 days. If you test positive, isolate for your 2 weeks. If you don't get tested, stay home for 10 days. And avoid being around people. Do not travel, get your groceries delivered, do all of that. Definitely avoid people who are at high risk. So if they have chronic illnesses or if they're, I guess that would be the only one, chronic illnesses or if they're immunocompromised in some way, stay away from them, monitor your symptoms very carefully. So those are the CDC guidelines for fully vaccinated and unvaccinated folks for domestic travel. For international travel, you're going to have to get your PCR. For people arriving to the United States, it's different, but typically for other countries, when we're going, we need to have a negative PCR before we get to the airport because they will not let you get on that flight guaranteed, but check with your international airlines before you get on. And that's our soapbox for today. Safe travel, everyone.
Oh my gosh, who doesn't miss traveling this past year? But even all of what you were explaining about the packing on sardines and all of that, ooh, stressing me out. But I really am. It's scary, but I'm missing about like going away and taking a break in routine and learning new things and cultures and meeting new people. Like I meet random people every place we go that I'm still like Facebook friends with. And you know how I am. I just start chit-chatting with everybody and I'm like, let's be friends. But I enjoy that and I miss that about traveling, which is why this month's series, like Expat Moms, like is really exciting for me. And these are moms who have literally up-leveled their travel by extending their stays. And sometimes guys permanently, can you believe this? They chose to leave the United States of America and raise their kids abroad, which, back in the 19th, 18th century was super glamorous, only reserved for the elite upper class people. Because you remember, our favorite book, Uzma, Little Women, Jo March got jilted by
Aunt March.
And Amy got to go abroad instead of her. Are you kidding me? And we're still not over it. But our first mama likes to be called an immigrant, which is pretty un-American already, but we absolutely love it. Amanda Mouttaki is Morocco Mama, curator of her fabulous travel blog and IG page, who immigrated. She immigrated to Morocco years ago and not only teaches a course on how you could do the same thing, because who doesn't want to go to Morocco? Let me just tell you that right now. She runs personal food tours in Marrakesh. We are so excited to hear all about her experiences and live vicariously through her today, because I'm excited. My only travel this summer is to finally see my family after 2 years, and that is in Chicago, not in Morocco. So Amanda, please take us to Marrakesh.
Pleasure. Welcome, Salam. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. You
We're
made
just
it
totally
sound like you made it sound so scary, and now I'm like, no, it's easy. Just come on, you all can do it.
Oh, yes.
we're big chickens, so we're going to live vicariously through you, and your job is to convert us into wanting to move to Morocco by the end of the
Done.
hour. So we hope that happens. If not to us, then to somebody else. I am game. I would go today if I could. So we usually kick off by asking our guests to tell us their mom story and their momming philosophy.
Okay, my mom story. Well, I am a mother. I have 3 children. I have 3 boys. They are 17, 14, and 3. So
Oh, that's a big age difference, lady, right
it's
there.
it's a very big age gap. My husband and I got married when we were we were babies, honestly. Like now
Aw.
my oldest son, the older he gets, I'm like, no, 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 don't
You're
do
not
it.
getting married.
What were we thinking? So we started our family really early, and then our plan was always we were just gonna have our two guys. They were both kind of surprises, and which is funny. Our first 2 were surprises. Our last one was not.
That's so fun.
That's how
I
it
always
works.
say that. Yeah, that's how it was for me. I'm like, my first 2 were oops, but then my third, everyone thinks he was the one that was, and I'm like,
surprise.
no, he was the only one actually planned, which is why all my
Namesake.
kids think he's my favorite.
Yeah, I bet my boys would say the same thing. I don't know. What are you going to do? I know it's fine. It's okay. I'm okay with it. So, I mean, I think that talks a lot about my philosophy. Like I am the opposite of a helicopter mom. I am very laid back. My husband has been very involved with raising our kids. We're definitely a team. We run our business together. We just, I think we're just not the stereotype of what people think or assume. I travel a lot for work. And he's the one that takes care of our kids when I'm traveling. So I think that's very different than in a lot of situations. And I'm okay with it. Like I'm totally fine with being that kind of mom. Like I was never going to be a stay-at-home mom, like ever. It was not in the plan. And I love it. And I love it. So we make it work.
I love that. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your family background and your love of travel? Because that story is in some of your social media stuff, but for people who aren't familiar with Morocco Mama.
Sure. So I actually did not grow up Muslim. I don't come from a Muslim family. My mom says the first Muslim she met was me, which is probably true. I grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So now I live in Marrakesh. So basically like night and day.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I'm like, wow, what a difference.
Yeah, so I grew up very, very different. I also just never felt like I fit. And I think I love to read. We did travel some, but like not a ton growing up. We're your average middle class family. And I just loved reading, and I would want to go and see all of these places, like all these places. I just was like, I have to see them. I have to know what this place is. And then as soon as I was old enough to do it, the summer after I graduated from high school, I was like, I'm going to move to Germany for the summer.
Okay.
My parents were like, what? I was like, yeah, like I'm going to go to language school and it'll be good and fine. And they were like, okay. Thankfully, my parents always let me be very independent and make my own choices. And they really supported me in doing that. And that's kind of also been my philosophy with my kids. So I did. So I went to Germany, it was a good time, came home, went to college, and then I met my husband. In Morocco.
And then you're so I was saying you met your husband, and there's always the before that, right, and the life after. So why don't you tell us a little bit about when you met your husband, and then you guys were married, I want to say, for about 10 years, right, before you actually ended up leaving. So let's talk a little bit about meeting your husband, and then deciding after literally a decade to then uproot and up-level your family to a totally different country.
Sure. So my husband is Moroccan. I met him in Morocco. I met him in Marrakesh. I was here on vacation with my dad and my younger sister. And I was 19.
Why does that happen to, do you know how much I strategize this? I used to get full on dressed up at the airport waiting for something like this. I'm traveling with my parents.
And then with a book, and then she looks up over the book and her eyes meet across the
birds fly. Never happened.
Because you were looking for it. I wasn't looking through you. I was not looking for anything. It was really like he started walking next to me. I mean, there's a whole backstory. It's on my blog, but there's a whole backstory. Basically, I looked at him. The first thing I thought was, you're going to marry this guy. That's the first thing that came in my head. And I was like, that's stupid. Don't think like that. Like, push it out of my head. And then, here we are, almost 20 years we've been married. So, I mean, it happens. I wasn't Muslim then. I don't know. I think we just thought it was like a vacation thing, but we ended up staying in touch, and I came back to visit, and he proposed, and then it all went really fast, and we started talking more. He didn't want to come to the US, but it was really important for me that I finish school. Like, I was not going to quit school. So I was like, okay, either you wait for me to finish university or you come to the US. And he was like, okay. So he was actually a 90-day fiance.
Oh, so
funny. Real 90-day fiance. Yes. He was a legit.
Before the show, everybody. Before the show.
Amanda did it first.
The OGG. And yeah, so then he came, and that's when I ended up converting. So that's how my Muslim story comes into this. So we wanted to raise our kids with a combined background. Yeah. And after that, we lived in the US. So all of the immigration stuff, all of the adjusting to life of going through university, we had our kids like immediately, not planned. Don't recommend. 10 out of 10, don't recommend going that route. Yeah. And then I think we always had it that he never wanted to live in the US. Like, his dream was always like, okay, this is a very temporary thing. And as time passed, I think he sort of adjusted, and he was like, it's okay. But I too was always like, I just don't see myself living here. And it wasn't necessarily, it was never necessarily like, let's move to Morocco, but it was just always, I don't feel like I want to spend my whole life living in the US. And I mean, Morocco made sense, obviously, because his family was here. And our other big hurdle, and the number one reason why we moved, was we wanted our kids to speak Arabic. Like, our kids couldn't talk to their grandparents. They couldn't talk to his family. There was no, that was really, really hard. And so we thought, we're going to go for 1 year. Like, that was the initial plan. Like, we put all of our things in storage. We were only renting an apartment. So we, gave up our lease. We moved, the basic things we'd need over here. We decided we'll live with family so that it was not like this big investment, this big thing. We'll just do it in a year. It'll be fine. But then 6 months into the year, we realized either we were very naive with how easy it was to learn Arabic, or our kids just weren't catching on to it. Yeah. So we're like, okay, I think we have to stay longer. And I should say they were learning Arabic and French, because schools here are all bilingual. Yeah. So they were learning 2 new languages. But they were 6 and 8 at the time. And so we said, okay, we'll stay another year. And then we started our business, and another year turned to another year. And then, I think by year 4, we were like, yeah, I think we're just living here.
Yeah.
We're going back.
I think this is permanent.
And meanwhile, your stuff in storage, where's that?
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember if it was after year 2 or after year 3 that we just got rid of it all. We just went back one summer and cleared out and got rid of it all.
That's hilarious. What I find interesting is your feeling as an American who was born and raised here, how you never wanted to live here. Was there any political reason, or was it some kind of, do you feel like there was some divine inspiration to just travel and see the world and get to know it?
I think I've always just been where I come from. I always say people either never leave or they leave and never go back.
Right.
And I always kind of fell into that latter category. I was probably from the age of 10, I can remember being I got to get out of here. I need to go. This is not for me. I need to go. I never felt like it never fit for me. And I've always loved, I just love different people, and I love different cultures, and I love different food. And I dreamed about all of these places, and I just needed to go see them and experience them. I don't think that there was this idea in my head, I need to move to Morocco and I need to have this completely different life-changing situation. but yeah, I think it was always there. Like I always dreamed of being like in the foreign service or working for, you know, one of those kinds of jobs where I was traveling, or a helicopter pilot, or, you know, something a little crazy and out there. So
A paratrooper. Let's just keep adding. Yeah, let's just keep adding that in there.
These are all
love
jobs
that
were never opportunities for us. They were never possibilities for us.
Yeah.
Even though we were born and raised here as well, it's just growing up in the culture that we did. It was like, why would you go be a diplomat? Why would you go be in the foreign? That wasn't possible. But neither was leaving the country at age 18 and go live on your own anywhere. So like, again, you know, living vicariously, love it. So happy for you. Alhamdulillah. Can you just, for our audience's benefit, tell them how many different countries you visited?
I've been in 50.
Oh, wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
50. We just was 50 right before COVID happened. In January was my 50th country.
I love
it. So you were able to fit that in. And then, so let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how has COVID, for somebody who loves to travel, it sounds like, and you guys are truly a global family, how has COVID put a little bit of a damper, you know, in that? And two, how are you guys, we were just talking about the CDC guidelines and that changing a little bit at the beginning of the show. How are you guys gonna, you know, make an adjustment perhaps? And what's the 51st country on your list to visit?
Ooh, good one. It's been huge. I mean, like I went from traveling 2 to 3 times a month on average to not leaving the house.
Wow.
So I mean, really, like I usually was gone like half of every month, you know, between different trips. So that's been a huge change. Also, our business was like completely reliant on tourism. So we basically have not had business for 16 months now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's been really rough. And then my website is also very heavily traffic dependent and ads and whatnot on travel. So that also took a severe hit. So it's just like hit. You know, we had a very long-ish and harsh lockdown in Morocco. So on mid-March, when we went into our lockdown, we were literally inside the house for 109 days. Like we weren't allowed to go outside. Yeah, only one person in the family was allowed to go outside, and you had to have a permission slip. And yeah, so me and the kids, we have a roof, alhamdulillah, but otherwise we didn't leave the house till like mid-July. From March. Yeah, it was a long
We're over here complaining about masks. Doesn't that make you
angry?
I know. You're violating my civil rights. Oh my God.
It was a little rough to watch from the outside, to be like, what are you crying about?
We have here. Oh my God, it's insane.
Yeah. It's fine. I mean, it is. It's okay. I made peace with it. We went through it. It was a good experience. I actually, like, for somebody who's never really stayed home with my kids, I've got
that
really
must have been
close
very
to all my
different.
kids.
Yeah.
In some ways, it made me absolutely mad, and you know, crazy mad. And in some ways, you know, it was just really good. Like we learned a lot about them, and you know, we made the best of it, right? Like we did what we could and made the best of it. But yeah, it's hard here. I would say though, in Morocco now, it feels like I keep trying to remind myself of what normal felt like. And I don't know if I remember what it completely felt like before.
How normal feels so weird.
I don't know. I mean, I like to say like, oh yeah, it's basically back to normal. But I'm like, is it really? Like, was this really normal? But overall, yeah, things are opening up again. We do still have some travel bans in place, but the US is not one of them. So Americans can come and visit. You're welcome. Just get your PCR test.
And I had a friend that's so funny that she was in Morocco at the time of the lockdown, and she could not come home.
She got stuck. Yeah.
And she got stuck and had to go to like the consulate and all that to kind of get her out and come back home. But it was like a big to do. It was very stressful for them. So that's so funny.
Yeah. When the lockdown happened, it happened very extremely fast and very forcefully within a matter of days. There were a lot of people that got stuck here. Yeah, but I mean, thankfully now I feel like maybe it won't happen. I mean, like I feel like they've gotten their act together a little bit more. Might have been a little premature of a decision. I don't know. I'm not in the government to make the decisions,
You're like,
but
it's not my job.
that's above my pay grade. I would do it for them though. They just need to hire me.
Hire you.
Yeah. So America, the U.S. is open. Europe is not. A lot of European borders are closed.
Yeah.
So hopefully, they keep extending our state of emergency on the 10th of the month is like when they reassess how the next month will look. So people are very hopeful that with the next one, they'll loosen restrictions because tourism is a huge industry here. And there has been very little support, financial support, from the government and whatnot. And yes, COVID was very hard and bad. And unfortunately, yes, there were people that died, although not to the same degree as in some other countries. Because of the firm things in place, I think. But the economic effects are far more devastating, sadly, than the health effects, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, may Allah make it easy for all of us. And, my plan was to be in Morocco last summer, but, Allah had different plans, obviously. But now I know who I'm going to call when I get there. I do want to say that one of my dear, dear friends, took me there, or really she was going to go see her family. And I was like, oh, I'm coming too. And just invited myself and my entire family. I was like, we're all just staying with you and you're going to show us everything, because there is a beauty seeing it, from the locals' perspective and the things that they show you. And I just, maybe it was that very personal interaction with the country that made us fall in love with it. And my kids still talk about it. I'm like, when can we go back? But I know that inviting myself to her house was probably inappropriate, but I did it anyway. Now I have you.
But now we could, I was going to say, now we can invite ourselves to Amanda's house.
Yeah, now I'm going to invite myself to your house. So that will be great. And you have this is your business, and I am happy to support tourism in Morocco. I did want to point out that I looked up, because I had heard, you hear rumors about people being born and raised in the United States and never having a passport. And I've actually met a lot of those people. I live in Arizona. So there are people who exist without a passport. And we just recently expedited ours. I'm not sure why, but my husband was like, our passport's expired. We have to get them renewed right now. I'm like, we're not going anywhere. Why? And he's like, no, you never know. Because I think he has a travel bug as well. But I looked it up, and 42% of Americans actually have passports, which is a lot higher than I thought. But I wanted to know from your perspective, as somebody who lived here and now has moved abroad, what do you say to people who have never left the United States? Because I didn't look up that statistic yet.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm sure it is. And I'm sure that if they have left of those 42%, I wonder how many are like, they went to Mexico. I think that's
count, guys.
Yeah. Right. I think for me, I've always felt like travel is one of the best things that you can possibly spend any type of money on. Because it just, you get so much value from it, whether it's like, it's not necessarily like an intrinsic value, like here's a thing that you get, but it like affects you for the rest of your life. So example, right before COVID, the year before COVID, my grandparents came to visit us. Now, my grandparents are in their 70s and 80s, and they had never left the U.S. They had never had a passport. They'd never been on a plane for that long, but they wanted to come here and see where we lived. And it completely changed their lives. And they're like 78 years old and live in rural Michigan, right? So then they go back and then they're like, oh yeah, then they talk about, when we were in Morocco and we did this. And then it just has this whole like trickle down effect. And my grandpa was like in the sawmill with the carpenter where they can't speak the same language, but they're like building something for my kids. And like, it was just like, it's such an amazing experience that to me, I think to not take that experience, to not want to or not put the effort to see another part of like this globe that we live on is such a missed opportunity. And I also think a problem that I see with a lot of Americans is they assume it's a lot more expensive than it is.
Yes.
Like most Americans are like, oh, if I want to go on overseas, that's like a $20,000 trip. And I'm like, no, like you can do it for so much less. it just takes it does take a little more effort. But I'm like, if you can drop $8,000 on going to Disney World, you could go to Paris for 4. So
Yeah.
well,
Maybe not right now. Maybe not right now to Paris, but no, we'll talk about that on Uzma's Soapbox on another day. But we'll talk about that on another day. But I definitely hear you, and I tell when people, it's funny because when I close my eyes, when I'm meditating and things like that, I always think, what's my happy place? And my happy place is in different places. And when I am very much looking forward to, not because I don't love my kids, everybody that's listened knows I adore and love even their little stinky gross feet, I love them. But at some point I'm excited about the possibility, because I, like you, Amanda, had them super young, so I'm like getting excited about getting them out the door, and I want to join like a Muslim equivalent of like the Peace Corps, and and just travel and help people, and then go and visit my grandkids when I'm not traveling the world and doing things, because I just feel like I don't want to be tied to a house or to a jail. Like, for me, that feels like I would be tied to a jail cell, So like the fact that you're talking about opening your experiences, and even if you don't have the same language, like through the commonality of human spirit, we can really truly connect to another culture, and what a blessing that is. I don't even know what my question was, but I just had to share that. But my question to you from a mom, like truly, because part of the reason why I want to wait to travel is the whole concept of the school, and this kid's schooling and the education and all of that. But like, do you find that your kids are going to pull a you, but in the reverse? Like, they're going to leave Morocco and be like, I want to go to rural Michigan one day and go to school U of M, and bye mama, I'll see you later. So how is that, now that you're getting to that age where your kids are about to start leaving the nest? Do you find that they're going to leave the nest and go back this way, or travel a little bit closer to where you guys are at?
Oh, they're gone. They're so gone. Like, we are doing college visits this summer with my oldest, and he has zero desire to stay here. He's going back to the US. He's he's done. He's like, I'm out. Bye.
He's like, see you later.
Is it like an independence thing, or is it I want to pursue the education over there, or what do you think?
I think that for him, it's an identity thing. And I think that for both of my kids, I don't know about the little one yet because we're still working on words, but the older ones, they really struggle with where they fit and what they are. And if you ask them,
they have that problem being biracial anyway, right? As being half Moroccan, half quote unquote American, having a national, they're definitely in that unique middle. Trust me, I've been there, because I still deal with that in my 40s. Okay.
Oh, good. So you're telling me it's not going to get any better. Thanks.
It doesn't get any better.
You come to terms with it eventually, right?
But you come to terms with it. You just come to terms with it. You're always going to have your foot in multiple worlds, and you start embracing yourself for who you are, regardless of not actually fitting in anywhere, because you truly just don't really fit in anywhere, and that's okay.
Intersectionality is a gift now, though, right?
It is.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to all be my fault. Like, I'll be happy when it's not all my fault anymore. Because that's what they like. It's your fault. You brought us here. You did this. You did this to me.
Yeah.
But so yes. Anyway, he is going back. His plan is he wants to go to the U.S. My 14-year-old, he's not really sure, but he's talking about maybe going to Canada. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they both have, the French and Arabic education.
So the Quebec and everything, and like they're definitely more French.
Like Montreal, Canada is and he's got quite a few friends that are from there. So yeah, they're both planning to leave us, which puts us in a bit of a precarious, like, now what sort of thing. I don't feel like I would ever be happy living in the US full time again. Not to mention, I'm not sure how we'd afford health insurance, because that just gives me paralysis to think about. So I don't know. We've talked about maybe we do like a 6 month in, 6 month out thing, or I don't know. It's like such a new stage of life where I'm like, it's fine. Let them have their wings. Let them go. Da, da, da. But their dad is like a very typical Arab dad that's like, no, they can live with us forever and never leave. And I'm
Yes.
like,
No, that's not how
their
it works.
wives can move in. And I'm like, you married the wrong girl for that. Shut up.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Going back to what Zeba said about her happy place, and for both of us, our happy place is in the company of other women. Sure, as much as we love our children, as much as we love our husbands, we really feel like the most growth we have is in the company of other women. So can you talk about the upcoming women's trip that you're organizing?
Ooh,
Yeah, so
and
I
can we sign
started-
up? Because this is making me excited.
Absolutely.
She doesn't know about it yet. So.
I don't know, but like, do you see my surprise face? Like, why are you dropping this on me right now?
Because I wanted to see your surprise face.
I know.
Okay, so momcations. They're called momcations. I started this idea like the first one I did was in November 2019. Gosh, where does the time go?
Oh my
So the first one was in
gosh.
November of 2019, and my whole idea behind it was after I had my youngest, and I actually kind of forgot what it was like to have a small child and travel. And so like as I was going about and doing my work and whatnot, people were like, oh wow, well, like who's watching your kid? And like, how do you do this? And like I just got all this feedback and so much from other moms who were like, oh, I've never had a vacation. Like I travel and I go on a trip and it's just like life, but in a different place. Like I'm still the one that's organizing and doing everything, and it never is really a vacation. And so I'm like, no, we have to fix this. So the idea is you come to Marrakesh for a week. I plan an individual itinerary with each mom. They get to figure out what they want to do. You want breakfast in bed? Okay, we got that. You get presents, you get flowers, you basically you get spoiled for a week where, we figure out everything. I do the surprises and the spoiling of you, but we work on your itinerary together. So like if you want to go on a hot air balloon, we can do that. If you want to go ride a sidecar through the desert, we can do that. Whatever, like literally the sky's within reason, the limit.
Oh my God.
And you get your own room, and yeah, it's just like it's my way of like, yes, it's a business, but at the same time, it's like I want moms to have this experience.
Yes.
I want you, if you've never done it, like I had moms that had never left their kids, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna make this easy for you. Come here. I'll take care of you. We'll work through this stuff with your kids. Like if it's sad and it's heartbreaking and you need to like cry and vent and be sad about it, like we'll work on that. But like, I'm going to give you a like safe space and a little bit of a cushion to just like remember who you were before you had kids.
Yes. Oh
Cry?
my
Like,
gosh. I know. I'm like, where were you? Well, guess what? I'm now at a stage where I'm like, I'm planning my first trip away, really. And so I'm like, oh my God,
October 2019 was the first time in 20 years Zeba ever left her children.
Ever left my children.
Yeah. And that was for a weekend, right?
It was only for 2 days. Was it 2 days?
It was 2 days, 2.5. Yeah.
2.5 days.
So she really needs this.
I really need this. That's why I think she didn't want to tell me, because now I'm like, see you later, suckers. My bags are already packed and my passport is ready. So I am excited about this.
So one of the interesting things that I saw on Morocco Mama website was that gift certificates are available. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your gift certificates and the food tours as well?
Yeah, so our main business is food tours. So my whole idea behind why we started doing the food tours was, if you come to Marrakesh, you only speak English, you're at a disadvantage.
Right.
You just are. Especially if you want to eat local stuff, local food.
Because if they don't speak Arabic, or if you don't speak Arabic and you also don't speak French, because that's going to be everybody's fallback, like you're pretty screwed.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the places that you'd go to, like maybe you wouldn't think they were a restaurant or they don't have a menu or whatever. So I got really tired and I couldn't tell people where to go, right? Like if you've not been to Marrakesh, just like imagine a mouse maze.
Oh, it's
with
terrible.
like streets.
Like finding that
like,
guy who does that salted lamb underground, like finding him is insane. And it's literally, there's no address. You have to go around several different corners.
Exactly. So we said, okay, we could do this. We will take people to these places. Like we'll just like, we also didn't have the money to start like a big business. So we're like, this is a low capital thing. We can do this. It's something we love. We get to meet people from all over the world. and we'll do this. So we find places, we take people on this tour to places that my mom would never walk in, but my mother-in-law would go and eat there. That's always been our criteria for the places that we've been. Yeah, and then that's what we do. So we have evening food tours, and now we're adding a whole bunch of new things that will start in September. Like we're just going tomorrow to a local cooperative of ladies outside Marrakesh that do goat cheese, like all kinds of goat cheeses they make. Yeah, so it's our way to support really super local businesses. Make sure you eat great when you're here. You leave with having had at least one amazing meal. And there's no tagine on our food tours, which is like the dish of Morocco. Yeah.
That is the dish of Morocco. I wouldn't leave Morocco without at least 6 different tagines. I'm just telling you now.
You can go have them. You can go have them all. And I'll just show you everything else that's not a tagine, that's never on the menus.
I gained 11 pounds in 10 days. Just telling you.
And my stomach is growling just talking about all this food because I can't eat anything right now with my darn diet. But no, I'm in, Uzma. When are we doing this? And can we book it
this year, Amanda?
Oh yes.
So the first momcation is the first week in October. I have 1 spot left for October.
Oh darn it.
I know. And the next one is in March. But I mean, maybe you want to do a Mommyingwhilemuslim one. I mean, we could put together a trip that would be for you guys, and like 100%. I do that. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna put that at. Mommyingwhilemuslim goes international, ladies. Okay, we
do have listeners.
We are internationals. That's true. That's true. Well, we are super excited for all of that, and I just cannot wait to eat some of that. Apparently, and gain the 11 pounds that I just lost. So let me just gain that right back when I go back to Morocco.
Amanda, I'm super excited. Yeah, that would be awesome. I did want to share this quote that you've got on your website because I hadn't heard it and then I had to look it up and I'm in love with it. So I'm going to share it with the audience now. Never did the world make a queen of a girl who hides in houses and dreams without traveling. And that's from The Wanderess by Roman Payne. And I almost wept. Once I looked it up, I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Can you tell us why you chose that quote?
So that is one of my favorite books that I've ever read. And I feel like it's kind of, I don't even remember how I found the book to begin with. I'm an avid reader, but I don't remember how I even came across that book. It's written in such an interesting style. It has so many quotes like that in it that are just like, stop you. And that's hard for me to find in books. And, you know, it just really hit home to me. I was like, it's me. Like, it's me. And that's how I feel like, you know, especially for women, like, I don't know. It just resonates so deep inside me and like my life experience that it just really, I have it actually hanging on my wall. So
reading your blog, this is completely you. So if anybody hasn't read Morocco Mama, her blog on there, that quote, like literally now anytime I think of you, I'll have to think about this and vice versa, because it's just that beautiful. And I am so glad that you are living the life that you decided to live and you curated it yourself. Like you were brave enough to say, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do. And these are all the ways that I'm going to make it successful, including establishing a brand new business out of nothing. Like that's incredible. And the showcasing that you do of, like you said, local growers and artisans. I mean, I just think it's so beautiful because I've had a little bit of the experience that you have in 10 days. And I was so blown away. Like, oh my God, these women's cooperatives, like there's a whole world out there outside of America where women are working together to succeed and support each other. Like, I wish we could do that here.
We're trying, and we're calling it Mommyingwhilemuslim. That is what we're trying to do.
And showcasing wonderful people like you who we will continue to live vicariously through. And, you know, if you move back to the United States, I would be really heartbroken.
Oh, no pressure. Okay, I'm going to pass that
right?
on to my husband. I cannot do it now. We absolutely cannot do it now.
Can't do it
we
now.
Can't do not until we have our momcation. Okay, not until we have our momcation. Then you can do whatever you want. You're free. But we have this segment right now where we call rapid fire, where I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions really quickly in a minute. Okay. And you have to try to answer what's the first thing that comes in your mind. Are you ready, Amanda?
Yes. Ready.
Okay,
what is your hidden talent?
I can really read people very well.
Oh, I love that. If someone were to play you in a movie, who would that someone be?
Drew Barrymore.
Oh, I
see
can
it.
totally see that. Yes. What's the one thing that your mom or your dad taught you that completely changed the course of your life?
I don't care what you believe as long as you believe in something.
Oh, I love that. So what was the last text you sent and to who? As long as it's G-rated, okay? What is it?
I sent it to my friend Sarah, and I said my husband is still in fork prison.
Oh, no.
If you hold up a fork like this in front of somebody's face, it looks like they're...
I love that. What's the one thing about you that really surprises people other than, living abroad?
I speak Arabic.
Ooh, I love that. And we got it done in a minute, Joe. I'm so excited about that.
Amanda, we are so excited and feel so blessed. I am totally, you're one of my girl crushes. I'm fangirling over here because I've been following you for a long time. Like, I can't wait to talk to her and find out all about how I can come and crash at her place. But for those people,
not heaven, the door's open.
Just rent me a really cool riad. I'll be fine.
Okay, you got it.
People who are not going to look up our show notes, which are very excellent, by the way, patting myself on the back. We're going to teach you, show you where to find Morocco Mama, Amanda. And so it's at Morocco, M-A-R-O-C, Mama on Instagram. And then it's the same thing, MoroccoMama.com for her amazing. I mean, I hope your website's won like 12 different trophies because it is an amazing website, mashallah, with the blog and the guides. There's so many resources. So even if you are not cool enough to look her up, like she's got everything right there for you, including a course on how to become an expat. Yes?
Yeah, if you want to move overseas with your kids, that's what the course is about. Yeah.
Yeah. She does it
if you want to come on a food tour, it's there too, but the food tour is called Marrakesh Food Tours.
Yeah, and the link is on that website, so definitely sign up. I know when I'm going back to Morocco, inshallah, that's like number 2 on my list. Once we get our passports back and our kids are vaccinated, it's like Turkey and Morocco, and if we could do them at once, that would be amazing, and I will gain 20 pounds, no doubt, on that trip, and I will be happy about it. Like, I'm not even gonna cry. So thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to tell our audience, Amanda?
No, thank you so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for staying up late for us. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Assalamu alaikum.
Back again to sponsor our podcast is Muslim Kids TV with the 25% discount using code MK2021. Have your kids play both secular and Islamic games and catch Islamic videos you won't find anywhere else. These games are coded primarily by Muslim moms, so you're never going to hate your kids having electronics again.
Another one of our sponsors this month is Guidance Residential. Check out their spring refinance special and save $500 by going to gr.link/RAM_MWM_2021.